What's up, guys? On this video, I'm going to talk about yet another script that never came to be. This is the story of George Romero's Resident Evil. Back in 1998, George Romero, the famed zombie film director, wrote a script for a film adaptation of the popular Capcom game series, Resident Evil. However, the studio stated that his version would cost way too much to bring to life. It would have basically been a film version of the first game, taking place in the Spencer Mansion, with the STARS team going in to investigate. Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Albert Wesker were all going to be in it. Well, more or less, but I'll get to that. It was going to feature pretty much everyone from the first game, however, there are some extreme changes. Chris Redfield, for example, is not part of STARS. He's this Native American guy who's like an environmentalist, basically. His girlfriend, Jill Valentine, is on the STARS team, but instead of being part of the RPD, STARS is now funded by Umbrella. So they're basically the UBCS. With that considered, let's get into the actual script. So, Chris Redfield is in the Arklay Mountains with Jill. He's got some cabin or some place where he's been living out there, and he's been like catching fish and doing nature type shit. Anyway, the outbreak happens in Raccoon City, and it gets overrun, so they evacuate everyone, and then Jill gets a call to head to the Spencer Mansion with the STARS team. At this point, Chris hasn't yet seen her in action, and decides to follow the STARS team to the mansion. When they get there, they're ambushed by a pack of Cerberus, just like in the game, and get chased into the mansion. So at least that's similar. The puzzles and traps are mostly present, with the team having to solve them to progress. But it's never really Chris or Jill by themselves. They traverse the mansion in a group, so that's a thing. From there, they run into zombies, hunters, and even Plant 42, or some variation of it. Later on, the team's crawling around in an air vent and ends up getting separated by Plant 42, with Chris and Rebecca having to fight it. Some other things happen, and it all leads up to fighting the Tyrant. Yes, the Tyrant. Done correctly, too. At some point, Chris, Jill, and I'm guessing Barry make their way down to the lab where they're confronted by Wesker, who, just like in the game, betrays them, wanting to steal the Tyrant's DNA and profit off of it. However, the Tyrant gets unleashed and Wesker and Barry have to fight it. Wesker ultimately gets killed, and then the fight bleeds out onto a helipad where Chris blows the Tyrant up with a rocket launcher. Then the team escapes, just not only as the mansion, but Raccoon City itself gets blown up. The end. This all sounds way too good to be true. Well, I mean, aside from the weird Native American Chris part. But yeah, having Plant 42 and the Yawn and all this other stuff, the studio said they just don't have the budget for it, so it never came to be. I think it would have been a decent film. I mean, way better than the one we got back in 2002. And yeah, I'm not really sure about that whole Native American Chris thing. Why not just make him part of STARS? Like, why not just do it accurate? But anyway, this is just one of the ones that sound cool that never happened. So, take it for what it is. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.